seems like everybody apart from those within the team think this is the biggest game of the season, maybe the biggest game of the club's regular season life. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about it?
It's another normal game. It's 3 points. If I was to give it more value, it'd be worth more points, but it's not. It's only worth 3, and as important as it is, the last game against Brisbane was also worth 3, and we dug deep and we got those points, and it'll be the same on Saturday. If I go into the game thinking it's a grand final or anything like that, it takes away from the fact that it's just a game, and we're just going to work as hard as we can, produce the performance that we want to produce, and then let the football gods dictate what the outcome is.
I see Tim Payne's in the ins,
yes.
And I think he's here. What's his likelihood of involvement?
The idea is that he'll get game time. He's not ready to start, so he'll come off the bench. It's a little bit quicker than expected, which has been fantastic news for us and for the team, importantly, and the fact that we're a little bit short because of Roof's suspension. It comes at a good time.
And just finally from me, is a draw a good result tomorrow night?
It'll be a draw. A draw would be a good result if we merited to draw and we didn't deserve to win. So, and what I mean by that is if the opportunity is there to win and we don't win, I'd be disappointed.
Chiefy, speaking with David Dome, he mentioned that if you guys do finish top of the table and qualify for the grand final, there's actually a chance that the game won't go ahead in Wellington. I just wanted to get your take on that and your thoughts on that.
Well, that's the first I've heard of it, so I haven't. That's news to me. I think it would be, if we were to get a home final, it would be disappointing because essentially the club is from Wellington. And it needs to be played here, in order not only to reward the players, but more importantly the fans for backing us.
And how important is it to reward those fans with your play and having that massive event here in Wellington?
Yeah, look, for me, the most important thing, it's always been from day one, is the fan base. When we went through COVID, I realised how good of a fan base we had. We have loyal supporters that went to every game. I always say the little corner of yellow, for me, most loyalist fans we have. They had to go through hardship where they, were away from home for a couple of years, weren't able to play games here. And we could have lost a lot more fans because of that. I think a lot of clubs are actually going through, the effect of that COVID period. But I'd love to give something for the fans to cheer. They deserve it. And in turn, I'd love to see a big fan base come to the last 2 home games. And I think that's going to be a big difference. If we can get a big crowd against Victory on Friday, will make the world of difference. And then and MacArthur. And they're both big games. Melbourne Victory are a very good team. They're third at the moment, still trying to get that top 4 spot, and MacArthur are in the same boat as well.
Did you get close to repealing Rufer?
We reviewed the footage, and when we got note of the downgrade, we just felt it wasn't the right thing to do.
And any update on Zada, because I know that you were thinking it might become more apparent whether it'd be available in the next week or so?
We're in the same boat as we were last week. Still no news. He's had some alternate, second opinions to see if we can maybe accelerate his recovery. But at this stage, we're in the same position as last week. Still a little bit uncertain. I think the best case scenario is him coming back for semi-finals. But at this stage, I'm not planning with him.
Is there a point where that will become clearer? So we stop asking about it, or just keep ticking on?
No, you can keep asking. I'll keep giving the same answer until I get a bit more clarity. Look, again, his injury is unusual. It's not like a normal hamstring injury. Fortunately, where he got the injury and where the injury is calcified, it just needs time to heal, and it can be a week, it can be a month, can sometimes in some scenarios it can be a little bit longer. However, we're playing it cautious because it's very important, first and foremost, that he's healthy.
What does your midfield look like without Rufer?
Still very solid. We still have very good players. Obviously, Rufer is a massive loss because he's our captain. He leads on the pitch. He's been very good. You also saw that in the international for the All Whites when he came on played against Tunisia. I thought he was, he commanded the midfield for a large part of that game, and he showed what he had. or what skills he has. But at the same time, the rest of our midfield is very, very good. Nicholas Pennington's coming back from injury. He's starting to find his groove again. We've got Mo Alte, we've got Houston that can play in that role. We also have Oldie, potentially Sutts and Lucas can also play in that role as well.
In terms of leadership, losing Alex, I mean, how big a blow is that coming into the biggest game of the regular season for you guys?
Look, I like to think we're not completely dependent on one player. For me, it's not about that. It's more about the collective and the mindset and making sure that everyone's on the same page. We've had roofs out before, and we've also got results. So for me, the leadership comes from action and behaviour, and the whole group as a whole are very good in that respect. You know, they all look after each other. You see there's a lot of positive body language with the players when something, you know, happens in the game, whether it be positive or negative, they're always behind each other. So for me, that's the sort of leadership that I'm after. I'm not really after one person that's a focal point and, you know, motivates, and I'm not a big believer in that. I think, you know, the healthy team is one that the underbelly is always, you know, confident and ready for any challenge.
For some of these players who are very young, this is potentially the biggest game of their careers so far. What have you been saying to them this week?
I treat it like a normal week. I don't give it context where we're going in and, you know, it's 1v2 and, you know, the season's on the line, because that's not us. And I say this every week, and I'm like a broken record, and, you know, I do take it week by week, but the only thing that we can control is our performance in the first 45. We come back in for a 15-minute break, we reassess, and then all we can control is the next 45. And there are some days that we play absolutely crap with the ball, but I say to them, at least defend well, and then that will solve half the problems, and they do it. But when it works well with the ball, sometimes, you know, defensively it might be a little bit off. So we take into account all those, and we try to stick to our values, stick to our playing model, and that's what works. If I come into this game and I make it bigger than what it is, then for me, again, it becomes a distraction, causes anxiousness, and you lose focus of what's really important, and that's the game itself.